Welcome to the Agenda Report. I'm Robert Zimmerman Jr. Let's get started. Today, who is the opposite of Trump, and why is that the point? Ronny Jackson faces 9 years, and Toronto. Is it shoplifting, jaywalking, or can we finally call it terrorism? The President and Mrs. Trump welcomed the President of France and his wife to the White House for the first official state dinner of his presidency. A 21-gun salute and review of troops with nearly 500 members of all 5 branches of the military were part of the welcome ceremony. Remarks from both men highlighted the 250 years of alliance and mutual support of values the people of both nations share, like family, freedom, and peace. The expectation is that French President Emmanuel Macron is doing his best to keep the U.S. party to the Iran deal, which the fake news is in love with, and President Trump has described as no deal at all for the United States. Today he described the deal as insane and said it never should have happened, sitting across from Macron. As opposed to diving into policy aspects that might explain why the president feels this way, which would actually inform the public, the fake news takes to the airwaves with clutched pearls as they trash him for daring to put America first in his public comments in the presence of the French president. So what's the agenda? The fake news puts on a black woman to explain to the less enlightened panel of self-declared experts that Trump's position and his behavior actually stems from an unspoken obsession of his to be the, quote, opposite of Obama, end quote. The on-screen panel of bobbleheads nods in agreement as they proceed to dissect his disdain for his predecessor for the rest of the day. When all else fails, a thinly veiled race shot is in order. I think the irony is stunning. We voted for Donald Trump precisely because we wanted the direction of the country to go in the direction opposite of Obama. America first fake news, you don't get it. And that's really the point, isn't it? Admiral Ronny Jackson is the president's nominee to be the new Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs. He served as physician to the president to 3 presidents and is charged with the duty of being the chief provider of medical care to the president and the first family, in addition to key administration aides. The physician to the president oversees White House Medical Unit, which are the doctors and nurses that help him carry out his work. There was a Veteran Affairs Committee hearing with Dr. Jackson scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday. That has been indefinitely postponed. That's what we know. Here's what else we know. The only explanation given on the record for the delay is that it comes in light of new information presented to the committee. Also, senators on the committee have sent a letter to the White House requesting all records regarding Admiral Jackson's service in the White House Medical Unit and as the president's physician that contain information about improper conduct. So we know that senators are doing their job in investigating something through the proper channels. And since the White House has and will take reasonable time to respond to their request, it's the perfect opportunity for fake news to cover up the real story here. Unnamed sources apparently leaked to the failing New York Times unverified information that became a story, which is in turn cited by television fake news as evidence that Ronny Jackson is a mean drunk at work who overprescribes drugs. The only thing Admiral Jackson is guilty of is being connected to Donald Trump. You see, in order for the fake news, he's a drunk bully narrative to work, you have to believe that the military and Secret Service have been incompetent for decades and have let an unstable, abusive alcoholic who's a walking, talking Pez dispenser for narcotics rise through the ranks to be of only a handful of people in the world that has unparalleled access to the president. Not just this president, no. President Bush and President Obama and their respective families. There wasn't a problem with his record or a question about his temperament while he served this president either, until he became one of Trump's better ideas. The real story fake news won't tell you. The president took to the podium in the White House today to give Admiral Jackson an out. He said it was his decision and he would support him either way, but that going through the vicious attacks by Democrats during the confirmation process is something the president himself wouldn't do if he were in Admiral Jackson's distinguished shoes. Because, and this is very important, because the obstruction from the Democrats is the worst it's ever been in history. The Democrats have put the president's nominations in line to be voted on, but there's just one problem. At the current schedule, it would take 9 years for the president to have his appointments filled. The stunts they pulled delaying key votes to confirm Secretary of State nominee Mike Pompeo and the nominee to be the ambassador of Germany delay the calendar even more. But that's the deep state plan, folks. Keep the president without an ambassador ahead of the German chancellor's visit. In fact, just keep him from the wisdom and the team he needs, and withhold the tools and human capital he needs to do his job effectively on behalf of the American people. Because the fake news won't report it. That, and don't report on the president's 9-year confirmation schedule. Just keep talking about how unstable he is for not thoroughly vetting his mean drunk nominees. You mean like he thoroughly vetted Mike Pompeo? Hang on, folks, I'm not sure if you can hear that. It's the sound of the Democrats dragging the goalposts across the field. After authorities declare 10 dead and 15 seriously injured by a madman who went out of his way to hit as many people as he could on a pedestrian sidewalk in Toronto, the suspect is today charged with 10 counts of murder and 13 counts of attempted murder. Since the fake news still doesn't know the ideology of the suspect, they are still confused. What this man did isn't shoplifting, it's an act of terrorism, period. The fake news doesn't get to define that. The agenda here? They have a vested interest in defining what terrorism is. They condition the public to rely on the political leanings of, or the ideology behind the terrorist motivation, rather than the fact that an actual terror act was carried out in the first place. Why is this important? If an act such as this was carried out with half as many casualties by someone the fake news didn't like, such as a deplorable Trump voter, do you think they would still be struggling to call it terrorism? If you like this video, please subscribe so you never miss an episode, because every single subscriber is a big deal to us. Thank you for subscribing and for watching. Follow us on Twitter at FFNUSA, and remember, we're 100% Patriot powered, so visit our website to learn more about our organization, sign up to volunteer, or invest in our future with a financial gift. Thank you.